my gosh. Alright. Where do I begin? I think I need to watch this again. Just 1 minute. Alright, so I think this video is probably going to be a long one. Let's hope it doesn't exceed 10 minutes, even though it probably will. Alright, so the episode starts and Derpy, there you are! I have so much to say, even more than I usually do, that I should be writing a script for this, but I'm gonna stay true to my unscripted style and just play it by ear. Okay, so starting with my first impressions. When I first caught wind of this episode, I thought, wow, this thing's gonna be crazily good. Or, well, I didn't actually think it was gonna be too incredibly amazing. I only figured that it would be, something fun. I knew, for sure, that this episode was likely not going to be the best of all time. But I did know that it was gonna feature some background ponies and that would be fun. So, just like most of you, I've been waiting months for this thing, and now it's here. When the trailer first came out, the very first one that showed Derpy, Amethyst Star, and Octavia speaking, I watched that. I'll admit, I actually watched it. Whoops. Spoilers. Usually I don't mind spoilers, but since this was a special occasion, I figured I wanted to leave my reactions completely and utterly genuine without any influence from the spoilers. So, I forced myself not to watch any more spoilers until the episode, and I'm not sure if that was a good or bad idea. This is primarily because it was pretty off the wall, and I might have seen how off the wall it was if I had seen the other trailers. Actually, the trailers weren't too off the wall. It was primarily that weird speakers rolling through town scene that was off the wall, and from that scene alone, I wouldn't have guessed that the rest of the episode was so random. What I expected from this episode was literally what the title implied, slice of life. I figured it would just be a whole bunch of ponies trying to rush to get to a wedding on time, and it wouldn't involve a whole bunch of weird things like a big science lab, a giant DJ table thing rolling through Ponyville, or secret agents, or oh goodness. But I'm not going to say this episode was terrible. It was fun. Episode 100 was fun, and that's what it was meant to be. But I do have some things I'd like to say about it, and I like thinking. You like thinking, I like thinking, we all like thinking. I think. Anyway, let's talk about the background ponies, because this is the main part of the episode, and it's probably going to be the bulk of whatever this review analysis thought thingy is. So there was, in order of appearance, if I'm right, Derpy, Doctor Who's, Vinyl Scratch, these guys, Octavia, Amethyst Star, Lily Valley, Daisy or Flower Wishes, and Roselo, Clara, Bonbon, Lotus Blossom, and Aloe, and Steven Magnet. We also get to see a couple other inclusions in the background while they're riding the giant DJ stand thingy, and we get to see a little bit of button mash, which is a pretty interesting decision on Hasbro's part. So, all of them were portrayed excellently, but in a weird way, I think that's why they were not portrayed excellently. Let me tell you what I mean. In fact, I'm just going to go over the negative points first, just so we can, end on a good note or something. Okay, so when I say that they were portrayed well, which is why they were not portrayed well, what I mean is, well, basically it feels like this episode was written by fans. Which is fine. I mean, it's written for fans, right? I mean, it was a special occasion. That's completely fine. My only problem was that I thought that the gift to the fans was showing all the background ponies and actually, showing them what their canon actually is, rather than just including everything in the fanon. I mean, I did expect the fanon to take a large part in it, but I figured that they would be a little bit more creative with their decisions, that they would put some of their own headcanons in that weren't really completely inspired by fan theories. It seems like almost everything in this episode was completely taken from a fan fiction of some kind. Right down to the fact that Lyra and Bonbon are really close for best friends. I mean, even to Derpy and Dr. Hooves, who, by the way, really is Dr. Hooves. In fact, usually it's hard to count the fan-made decisions in the show. You get maybe a handful, or heck, you get a pinch. But everything's turned around in this episode. In this episode, there's only a pinch of creative things that they did, and everything else is fan-written. I can literally count the amount of times that they wrote something for themselves that wasn't in any way fan-affected. One of them, which I'm very satisfied with, is Amethyst. I really like the fact that Amethyst Star was put in here. I like the fact that we got a little bit of information on her. She was apparently a really good organizer. Check that out! Character building! That's what I was looking for more of. Character development. Things that we actually didn't think of. Things that we can put into these fanfictions of ours. Things that we can use to alter our fanon, theories a little bit. Things that we can discover about these characters. Now we know that Amethyst Star used to be the organizer before Twilight came to town. That's a great fact. Another thing is Vinyl Scratch probably being mute. Or at least, maybe she just doesn't want to talk very much. Oh, well, she has a quote on the CCG card, so I guess she can't really be mute. That's another interesting thing that they added, but then again, I think that was also influenced by fans because they knew that people would freak out if her voice didn't sound just like Noaking's. Now, I don't know if that's the case, but I think it's a pretty sound theory. And last, but certainly not least, Bon Bon is a secret agent. If there is a popular fan theory like that I don't know of, please tell me, because I don't think I've ever heard of that. Honestly, it came absolutely out of nowhere and was probably the most random thing that I've seen in the entire episode. That was very over the top. I definitely didn't expect that. But at the same time, I mean, it does make sense considering her voice changes all the time, and I guess that counts as some kind of disguise thing. Plus, it would cover the fact that her name is actually Sweetie Drops, and I mean, I guess it was a good decision, but the way they went about it was insanely off left field. So yeah, I mean, this is a gift to the fans, but I thought that instead of all the fan pandering, black and white bugbear, they know, they would give us new information that we hadn't already thought up, so that we can discover new things about these characters that we love. I mean, confirming that our ideas are canon is also a great gift, but I think it would have been nice if they gifted us with other information. I mean, we got, like I said, 3 things. Geez, they can't give you the world, Nat. Why are you being so greedy? Well, I'm not being greedy, honestly. I'm just asking for them to do what they do every episode, which is fill it full of their own ideas. Nat, don't be like that. It was a special occasion. Geez, just give them this one thing. Well, look, I'm not saying that the episode was terrible. I'm just saying that I thought that we would get some things to, add to our theories. I thought that we would be able to say, oh, she does that too. Oh, and she works there. Oh, cool, I didn't know that, Like with Amethyst Star. Oh, I didn't know she was an organizer. Kind of like when they made Vinyl Scratch's eyes magenta, which I think was actually an error in the beginning. But nonetheless, it had the show expand on her without completely taking the fans' ideas. It built her character in a way that the fans did not. It revealed something to the fans and showed them, hey, this is what it's like. And I really like it. Sometimes the show shows us that we're right, in the case of a lot of things about Derpy, and other times the show shows us that maybe we were wrong, like Vinyl Scratch's eyes. And to me, that's completely okay, and I actually welcome and look forward to those things. I'm not saying crush fan theories. I'm just saying, if you want to confirm fan theories, fine, but add your own twist to it here and there. Nat, they did that. You even said that they did that. Secret Agent Bon Bon and Amethyst Star and... Yes, I know, but there wasn't an even balance. I figured that there would be a balance of things that we didn't know and things that we already do, or things that we thought, Anyway, I went on about that for quite a long time. You guys can have your own opinions about it. This is just me. I don't really like it when an episode feels like a fanfiction. It's kind of like that feeling when Double Rainboom came out, and I expected it to be show style, show quality, and overall show feeling, but instead it was just a whole bunch of memes. And, crossovers. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this episode is just like Double Rainboom, I am not saying that. Like I said, this episode was not entirely bad. Let's go to the good parts. First of all, the wedding was really cute. The wedding was adorable. Steven Magnet acted like a jerk.
The wedding isn't the important thing, the marriage is.
Oh, my goodness gracious. If you believe that, I have got a bridge to sell you. All these ponies traveling to Ponyville, putting on uncomfortable clothes, sitting through a long ceremony. You think any of them care about the marriage? No. Honey, the wedding is everything.
But aside from that, the fact that it was their wedding was a good idea. And we did have a couple moments of comedy gold in this, some of which were caused by Derpy.
Is every pony here?
Oh, set Mayor.
And for some reason, I actually really found it funny when we actually got a voice for Gummy. I saw someone in the Equestria Daily's comment section that said, "Forget the background ponies, I want to hear Gummy talk." And everybody thumbed it up thinking that it was a joke. Honestly, it's hard not to laugh at that. I can't believe somebody actually joked about that, and now it's... wow, it was funny. The reason why I'm not ragging on that for being too outrageous like the rest of this episode is because, some shows have done that before. Just thrown in a little thing inside the mind of the one that doesn't talk. Not to mention, compared to the other randomness in this episode, that seemed almost normal. I find that it was actually really funny, if you think of it comically, it was funny, and it doesn't really affect anything. Also, for some reason, I actually laughed when Derpy shut and locked the door on the main 6 by accident. Not to mention, some of Dr. Hooves' sentences during bowling and everything were actually really funny. I mean, granted, they were a little ridiculous, but I think that's the whole point. And for once, I actually laughed a couple times during the episode because of these things. Usually I don't really laugh in My Little Pony episodes all that much, but I found this pretty entertaining. In fact, I'd say that most of the good parts of this episode are based around comedy. Comedy and, general entertainment value. I think it had quite a bit of entertainment and comedy in it, and I think that's probably what makes the episode good for me. That and Derpy makes me a little biased. But Derpy can't sway me enough to ignore some of the flaws in the episode, such as, like I said, the lack of creativity. I mean, lack of creativity in the sense of copying and pasting fanfiction summaries. But let's go straight to thinking. First, Dr. Hooves. Now, I personally don't really watch Doctor Who, but I was thinking if all they did was give Time Turner, quote-unquote, a British accent, that would probably be enough for the fans to stay with their little theories. But nope, they had to go the whole 9 yards. He has his own little science lab and everything. He's even pretty close with Derpy, apparently. By the way, her voice sort of had a weird accent sometimes, kind of like Harley Quinn-ish. Like when she said,
I told Cranky I could get them printed for cheap.
she said print for cheap, or
I accidentally sent out invitations for Cranky.
she said invitations for Cranky. But at the same time, you can kind of tell it might actually be her having a little bit of trouble with her R's sometimes. I mean, maybe that was what they were going for. By the way, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't say that she had a cold during the last roundup or something, but anyway, assuming that he's not actually a Time Lord, I mean, apparently he really likes science ever since he was young, that's all he studied. Now, I don't know anything about Doctor Who, if maybe that's part of his childhood, or whatever the crud is going on with him, but at least we have something to go off of rather than just saying, hey, I'm Doctor Who, and leaving. He's very silly. I do enjoy him. Another thing is Derpy. She was the one that delivered the invitations, because she's a male mayor, which was already confirmed more than once, but still. And I already talked about Amethyst Star, by the way, I love her voice, so let's move straight on to Octavia and Vinyl Scratch. I think they went a little over the top, splitting the house in two, colors and all. I mean, having two different sides of a room is one thing, but this is a little much. Still, in a weird way, I kind of like the fact that their clashing personalities are together. Yes, I know that the fandom already said this, but seeing it actually happen, I think the writers did a very interesting job. To me, it seems like Octavia is a little bit stuck up to the point where she likes classical music and nothing else, and would probably think that anything else is just, casual pony music that's not classy enough for her. But then seeing her jam out with Vinyl Scratch, it makes me feel like, what if Vinyl was the one to introduce that kind of thing to her? To show her that not everything has to be prim and proper, and music is just music. I don't know, just a theory of mine. It would also be a really good explanation as to how they became friends. Also, splitting the house in two, considering their very different personalities, I can kind of imagine how that went. I mean, I can imagine they probably had a lot of decorative problems, so eventually they were just like, okay, look, you take that side, I take this side, we're done. And, went from there. And the decision to make Vinyl Scratch not talk. I still think that it was because they didn't want to anger fans by showing that the voice wasn't close to Noaking's or something. But regardless of how it was influenced, the fact that she's not talking is one of those creative decisions that I personally enjoy. Because since she wasn't confirmed to be actually mute, it's not going to ruin anyone's fan theories, but at the same time, it gives us a little more insight into her character that we didn't have before. See, those are the kinds of tiny things I was hoping would be scattered throughout the episode a bit more. Also, they had a song which was amazing, and I would have been more surprised if somebody didn't spoil it for me. But, anyway. Then we had Lyra and Bon Bon, both of which, in my opinion, had pretty good voices. Is it just me, or was Lyra voiced by Ashley Ball? Am I wrong? Just an idea. Anyway, I actually really like their personalities. I think they're both really cool. I really like Lyra. But you can tell that they were trying to make them as close as possible without actually making them a couple. In fact, they are so close that I'm sure there are plenty of bronies who say that behind the scenes they actually are a couple. And honestly, with the way that this episode has been going, I'm pretty sure they would have been if Hasbro was allowed to. But in this case, I'm glad that they're not a couple, mainly because I only see them as roommates or good friends. Honestly, I would prefer that Lyra and Bon Bon be roommates, and Vinyl Scratch and Octavia just be best friends. But that's definitely just my opinion, whatever. But regardless of the fact that they look like a couple, I think it's kind of cute to see best friends that are so close that they seem couple-like. It's a good way of proving that you don't really need to have any kind of physical relationship to be close to each other. I mean, I don't think the friend zone is such a bad place, to be honest. I think it's a very cozy area to be in. But enough about Lyra and Bon Bon's friendship. The fact that she was a secret agent rolled right out of nowhere. I don't know where it came from. Darn it, M.A. Larson. As I said, it was a good call because of her name and her voice, but at the same time, it was so off the wall. I feel like they could have covered those two things in a different way. It just came out of the blue, and I think it was probably the most random thing to happen in the whole episode, including the idea that the bugbear was looking for her this whole time. I really don't know. I mean, there's quirky, and then there's just exaggeratingly random. In fact, I'd have to say that that's probably my main beef with the episode. It wasn't just hyper, it was random. Like, very random. In fact, it feels like all of these things don't even really match up. Maybe that's because everything came from a fan fiction. Seriously, it's like they just hired a fan to write the episode for them. Oh wait, right, M.A. Larson. Sorry, I'll let it go. But then there was also Celestia and Luna. I know that some people say, yeah, but Celestia's more mature than that, you know? But, honestly, family problems, I don't care how old you are, they exist, you know? I loved seeing more of Celestia and Luna as actual siblings, you know? It was so cute, them acting like normal ponies. They have problems too, they're not just goddesses, you know? It's a little bit more character development, I guess, and then, you know, Shining Armor gets some too. We now know that he cries at weddings, like a baby. Also, that changeling was incredibly freaking adorable. Just sitting there waiting to eat some love. So I guess, too long didn't watch. It was way too random, over the top ridiculous, and I feel like the writers didn't put their own touch on enough of the fan theories. It made it feel a little bit uncreative. But, at the same time, the episode was still fun, it was still entertaining, we got a decent amount of comedy, and when the writers did include something of their own, it was always very welcome. From a little bit of character development and voice from Amethyst, to the fact that Vinyl Scratch doesn't talk very often, finding new things that us fans didn't think of ourselves is always fun. Apparently M.A. Larson was supposed to do The Lost Treasure of Gryphonstone, and Amy Keating Rogers was supposed to do the 100th episode, but they switched. I would have liked to see how she handled it. Maybe it wouldn't have been all over the place. Or maybe it would have, who knows. Also, before I forget, Stephen Magnet giving up part of his mustache for Cranky was really cute, and I liked the callback. I also really liked the episode's moral, or, you know, the final speech by Mayor Mare. I thought it was really cute, and it fit. So I guess that concludes my thoughts on episode 100, as scattered as they may have been. But then again, I guess episode 100 was pretty scattered, so maybe it fits. Anyway, leave your agreements or disagreements down below, as usual, because I'd really like to hear it. There's probably something that I forgot to say that I feel is important, but I'll just rant to myself later for not including it. I hope you all enjoyed the episode and this video. See you next week.